Hello fellow photographers. Today we're going to be colorizing black and white photos. Alright, so in today's video we've got two pictures that we're going to work with to colorize, so let's jump right into Bridge and take a look. We're going to start with these two photos here. The black and white picture was taken with film and the color picture was taken with I think it was a Nikon D7000. First we're going to open them both up as layers in Photoshop. Alright, so this color picture that's here, we're only going to use it as a kind of as a base to choose what colors we're going to paint the cheetah as. To get started, let's just go ahead and select a color. We're going to choose a solid color, and we're going to choose this one here for the cheetah. So now when you're looking at it, it just shows up as just a solid color. Now if we go down here and we change it to Colorize, then now we have color over it. We're going to go ahead and let's see what overlay looks like. So I usually jump between color and overlay, whichever one I like best. For this one I think I'm going to stick with color. We're going to invert the mask here, and then now we just kind of see where we want to paint this color at. So we select our white mask and we just start coloring him in. Now before we do that, if we want, we can select him to make sure we get only him and not the background. And you can use any type of selection tool you want. One that probably works a little better than what I just did was the object selection tool. Let's see how that does. So yeah, that one did a much better job. And then we can just clean up a little bit there by removing just a little bit here and just a little bit there. And then now we just paint him in. So as you can see, it's already looking decent because the details are all there in the black and white image. So we're just adding color behind it, or in front of it technically, to kind of make it pop. Now we don't need his eyes colored this color. And then let's take a look at this picture. And he's got a lot of white in them as well. So let's do a new color, and we'll just select this white. And that's mainly in the front of him. And as you can see, it looks a little fake there how we're doing that. So if we feather it a little bit, it's going to blend a little better. Just kind of give it more of a natural kind of flow. And then we can't really see his eyes too well in here, but let's see if we can just pull a color out. Not really seeing much of any color at all for his eyes. We'll kind of go with that one there. See what that does. If not, we can change this. Great thing about these colors is you can always change them. And then the background. And then there's some brown in that background as well. And as you can see, I'm not taking too much time on it. This is just a quick kind of go through of it. So there you have it. That's how you quickly colorize a black and white image. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on the details. I could really go in there and really treat some of these details to give a little more color to make it look a lot more accurate, but this is just a quick overlay of how you could kind of go ahead and do it. If you don't have a color base to choose from, you can just pick your colors, make them up as you go, but the main thing to remember is to select solid colors and color overlay them. And the reason we're doing all this in layers is that way you can go back, and if something's wrong, you can go ahead and fix it later. Like I've got some of this background layers here that are over the cat as well, so I can add the mask to selection, and I can just go ahead and erase behind the cat if I wanted to. Not that it matters too much. You're not really going to see much of a difference, just because this is all just colors that are overlaid on top of each other. So it's not quite picking up the color behind it, but there you go. Now, one other colorization that I want to focus on, this is more if you use like the cheap man's neutral density filter, which is a welder's glass. It gives you this really dark green hue to your image. This here is the original, and it just looks blah. You can try to take some time, go into camera raw and try to bring out some color. That's the best I could do, but that's what it actually looked like that day. So it's just not a great color, but I get those great motion blurs, whereas here you don't have any of that. We're going to open up both my edited file of that welder's glass and then a picture I took beforehand. We're going to load those up into Photoshop layers. Now, if you want to do this, it's best to kind of know that you're going to be doing this ahead of time and take a proper picture of the color beforehand, before you put the welder's glass up to the lens and take that longer exposure. The reason being is that way you can come in and do exactly what I'm about to do. All right, so now that we have these two layers in Photoshop, we're going to select them both, and we're going to go to Edit and then Auto Align Images. Auto is fine. We're just going to kind of let it do its work. And then we're going to crop down our image a little bit, just because we got a little bit of a clipping, because nothing's perfect when you do this. So in fact, I'm going to rotate the image also a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Well, let's go back this way a little bit. Bring that down a little. Alright, so I don't have any white around the image, so that should be good. Now we're going to duplicate this layer that we took of the picture proper without the solar glass, and we're going to shut this layer off for now. And then the second colorized layer, we're going to go ahead and call it a color filter. Now, when you shut off the background layer, you can see the original picture, and then now this is our solar, and then now this is our welder's glass, how it's looking now, as opposed to this ugly green color. It's just colorized the image behind it now. The reason we kept this layer here, let's go ahead and put a mask on it and invert it. The reason we did this is we did lose a little bit of detail in these rocks. So some of the stuff that doesn't move, we might want to go back and just kind of add back in. So add some detail back in there. We're going to go ahead and feather it a bit. And then we're just bringing out some more detail in it, but leaving all of the motion blur that's there behind. And you don't have to do this step. This is just an added if you want to kind of step. I'm not going to really mess with the trees too much, because motion in the trees is perfectly fine if there's wind, just like motion in the sky and the water is the main thing that we're kind of looking at. But rocks don't move, so that's why we're just going to kind of touch those up and bring the details out a little more just by overlaying this on top again. And there you have it. We've just very quickly colorized our welder's glass image, completely removed any sighting of that ugly green hue that stayed behind, and we still have all of that motion blur that came along with it. I hope this was informative. I know it was a short video just to kind of give you an idea on how you can do some stuff. For colorizing black and white images, you can spend a whole lot of time trying to do that, and I didn't want to just show you me painting images. That's why I went through the first one very quickly. But if you really want to get it right, you're going to have probably a whole bunch of different color layers on top of that, and you're just going to really take your time and work in the details. But I hope this kind of gave you an idea on how to do that kind of stuff, and I will see you next week. Happy shooting.